Welcome to my session about Microsoft Teams with tabs. A little about me. I'm Nuno Árias Silva. I'm MVP in Office Apps and Services. I'm also Windows Insider MVP and MCT. Mostly, I advise my customers to be proactive to adopt new technologies. Because if they adopt new technologies that what they have paid for, they are going to reach their goals more easily. I work in IT more than 20 years, and my last projects are more focused on Office 365, infrastructure, and all other Microsoft infrastructure products. Here you have my blog, my email, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm architect manager at GFI that becomes in last week in Netum. And I'm responsible for the projects of Office 365. Here is the agenda. We will have an overview about Microsoft Teams, a little inside Microsoft Teams, tabs, how to set up Microsoft Teams properly to, for example, to create your applications, a little demo, and some resources and some labs to you do it. Okay, what is Microsoft Teams? Microsoft has created Microsoft Teams to be a place to be centrally in a workplace, in just one place where you can work together with your colleagues, with your partners, with your customers, and so on. And what this means, what can I build in Office platform? You can build add-ins and web parts. You can create your solution and be native part of the modern Office. And you can create web and devices apps. You can create smarter apps by connecting your apps to Office 365 services. And you can connect voice, video connectors and bots. You can create your next generation of productivity solutions. You can create your own solution based on your log application, or you can connect to third-party applications and create your flow that is needed to your business or your organization. Let's see about an overview about Teams globally. As you all know, the collaborations are more remotely. Now in this phase of pandemic, the number of persons that are working remotely increases a lot. For example, I'm working at home to the customers since March. And for example, in our company, if we doesn't use Teams before, it was completely different because we are working on Teams since the beginning, and then the transition, it was completely smoothly because all work that we done now, we have done before. Then we just move to another location. That's the biggest thing of using collaboration tools like Teams. You can create internal or external teams. You are geographic distributed and you have a multi-generation workforce in your organization. Normally, in the organizations, that could be 4 or 5 generations inside your organization. And if you are using a tool like Teams, it's easier to some persons that younger generation to work, because, for example, if you ask a person that are recently in your company that are younger, if they use a lot email, they don't use it. They want to do chat and so on. And what is the meaning and needs of organizations? Different groups have different needs. For example, you have the chat, the mail, voice, video, co-created content, sites and content management, enterprise social. And what is the challenge today in the organizations? You have siloed apps, you need to multiple logins, it's completely different about sharing and discovering information. You waste time. If you are switching between applications and to do what you need to do, you waste time and drains attention to your focus. And of course, shadow IT. If you don't give the right tools to your organization, you will have shadow IT. And for example, about teams who are working now, for example, on Teams, if you are too close about security within your teams, for example, about sharing or external sharing or meetings or so on, or for example, remote control using Teams, what you are causing your users will be in shadow IT also, because you are blocking to they collaborate and they use other tools to be productive, to do what they need to do, okay? And how Microsoft leverage this to the best solution. All these are based on Office 365 groups. It's a complete solution. Office 365 groups is inside the teams. Each time you create a team in Microsoft Teams, it creates an Office 365 group that also creates a SharePoint site. Then you have all these integrated within all integrated experience, and also you have the security and compliance about your team. And what more about Teams and what can we do? It's a chat-based workspace. You can chat for today Teams. It's a hub for network. You can customize each team, and using the part of security and compliance that is needed in your organization about the certifications that Microsoft have, that is the most certifications about security. And what about the chat for today's team? The people can see content and chat history anytime. For example, if a person comes to your company and changes from one team to another, they have access to the history. And for example, if you use mail, for example, a person that comes to your company in last days, if you send an important email about the communication or so on, or about, for example, the emergency of a company that was sent last week, the person doesn't know, because it was by email just to the persons that are in the company at that time. Then the Teams is better to have this, because all history is available to new users. The chats and activities are visible to the entire team. You can also use private chat for a small group conversations, to one-on-one, to create a small group. You need to realize if sometimes is needed to create, for example, a team. Okay, if it's a small group to work together in a document and to share something or a small part of a project that is needed just a few persons, doesn't create a team. Create a group in private chats because it's easier you to collaborate. And if you have many teams, you are dispersed in several teams and you aren't focused and not needed to do what you need to do. Okay, you can join a Teams call to meeting in real time and also to connect across multiple devices. And about a hub for teamwork. You have chat, content, people, and tools in the same workspace within the same application that is Microsoft Teams. You don't need to switch applications. You have quick access to the information that you need. It's integrated to SharePoint, OneNote, and other Office 365 apps, and you can work with Office and other documents right in the app without leaving the app. For example, if you need to edit an Excel or Word or PowerPoint directly and want collaborations in live, you don't need to switch to your desktop application, okay? If you need more complex operations that are needed the desktop about the features, for example, okay, you need to use your desktop. But for example, in a team that, for example, it updates an Excel just to figure out the status of something, you don't need to open the Excel on desktop. You have it on Teams and you can create shortcuts as tabs in each team. Okay, about tabs. You can customize for each team. You can add tabs to provide quick access to frequently used documents and other cloud services. You can export data and take quick action with bots. We can pull in Office 365 connectors for updates for third-party tools and services, and also you can access developer preview APIs to build integrations. It's your decision to use this part of each team. Now it was announced at Ignite that you will have templates to teams. It will be rolling out, and it's easier to your organization, for example, to create a team using a template that all are populated. For example, if you create a template of a team that has channels, tabs, and so on, all over populated, you can create your own template, and when it's needed to create new teams, you can use that template to create your team with all populated that was created before. What about crusts that is needed in most organizations? The compliance of Microsoft about Teams, you also have ISOs, SOC 1, SOC 2, IPA, European model clauses, and more. All data is encrypted all times, at rest and in transit. For example, this call that you are assisting, it's all encrypted, all in transit, all in rest in your application. Also, you can have your multi-factor authentication enabled and is completely advised for enhanced identity and protection. And you can have strong customer privacy safeguards that you can have, for example, you can put your teams in retention and also have all data secured within using Office 365 services. Of course, to have the retention, you need E3 license or E5 license to do that in the teams. About connectors and bots, you can connect to different services. Just for example, to Twitter, to RSS, to status page IO, and many more. You can complete tasks, issuing comments and requests from bots, and you can develop your own bots to interact with your own services. All this is suited for many different role teams. For example, for sales, for marketing, for project management, for engineering, and for customer support. It depends your organization, it fits for different roles about your team. And what about the organizations? An ML-centric organization. What is the goal of the teams? You can have a separate communication and notification from teams and collaboration. The users, for example, are geographic distributed. It's needed various ways across locations and time zones, and you have multi-generation workforce. You have different expectations and preferences for tools. And how this solves? For example, some stories about reading, finding conversations, how to deleting a team, how to discussing and document, how office banter for the remote worker. That is questions in organizations and when to do something. About some part of history about the teams. The teams was launched in November 2016. It was in preview in 150 markets and 18 languages, and was general availability 3 years ago in 14 March. And from Q2 2007 to today and the future, additional features and language are continue growing the teams. Okay, about tabs. About tabs is where you start customize your own team. The tabs are always visible at the top and stay within the conversation, so everyone can access them easily. You also can put your own tabs, you can create applications to a tab, and so on. About the default tabs. The default tabs that are automatically get each time you create a channel. For example, the files that is uploaded to that channel that are in the files tab, and notes are in the notes tab. For example, as I told you before, behind Microsoft Teams, it's created a SharePoint site. When you create a channel, it creates a folder in the documents folder on that SharePoint site. Then when you come here to the files of that channel, it resides on the SharePoint site in that folder that has created. But for example, if you rename the channel, it does not rename the folder in SharePoint that it's needed to realize. And for example, when you delete a channel, all the files that are stored in SharePoint are not deleted. Okay? How to set up Microsoft Teams, for example, to create tabs that I have custom code, for example. To set up this part, it's not available on Teams free. It's needed Business Essentials, Premium, Enterprise E1, E3, and E5 plans. And to set up, you need to go to the admin center, to go to the Teams admin center, you need to go to the permission policies, and you need to have the custom apps that you can allow all apps, or you can customize which apps have access to the end users. First steps. If you are not using Turn On Teams for your company, you need to identify a team to begin the pilot and a planned company rollout to the teams. About some resources and lab that you can do later. You have here the developer site, some parts of administration settings for Microsoft Teams, some facts, the bot framework, and for example, to create a bot framework from FAQ page with no coding. I will put these links on the chat. Just wait a second till I put the links on the chat. Also, you will have access to this presentation after the event. Here's the first link. Here you have the second link, how to manage your organization. Some frequent asked questions. Also, you have here the bot framework. And here is an example to create a lab. Okay? Any questions so far? Let me see the chat. Okay. Okay. Just see a little demo about Teams. For example, about tabs, you can create several tabs in the Teams. I have created, for example, here a few tabs. For example, you have here a link, for example, to a kickoff that are going to a page of SharePoint. You have here some retail accounts that are a list from SharePoint. A report, it's about a word that is available over here. Also, you have here an Excel, for example, directly here on the Teams. And for example, this is a page that are the COVID situation here in Portugal. And I have put it, for example, here in a tab that is written in Portuguese. There are the cases active, the recovery, and so on. And also I have here 3 more. For example, I have the home page of that team. That is the SharePoint site of that page. But for example, some parts that some customers many times asks, for example, to create a tab to have access to all the files of that team. For example, if you go to here, you have the general channel, and here you have the documents and so on. If you open it in SharePoint, we will see here in the root of the documents the other channel and some documents that are not on the teams available, that the customers normally asks to be available faster. How can you do that? You can select here, for example, a document library, copy the link, or you can add here a tab, for example, to a document library. And it shows all your teams that you have access. For example, you are in the retail team and you want to select the document library within your team, because if you create a library from another team, if the members are the same, it will be useful, but if the members are not the same, they doesn't have access within this tab. Okay, let's do about your team. You can also post the channel about this tab, and here you have the document libraries within your SharePoint site. And I'm going to select the Documents tab, and here you have retail all documents. Okay. As you can see, I have access directly here using Teams to all the parts. Okay, I mean, it's saying a question here. Okay, not really related to tabs, but as general channel at your demo shows additional information. Let's see your link. Okay. What you have sent here. Okay, I understand this. As you can see, that's a good example that Armin Gast has told here in the chat about users either to team line has been removed. As Microsoft here says, it's in testing. They are testing the feature internally, and we will share the update as soon as available. If that are in this phase, Microsoft is already testing to be deployed. For example, here are some comments. You can vote here, and as you can vote about user voice in Teams, is the best way to have the features available faster. Okay. It's what you meant, Armin? It's okay? Okay, continue. Here, for example, you can create another kind of tabs. For example, I have shown about document library. You can point to an Excel, to a planner, OneNote, Wiki, a website. For example, what I have done here to that part, for example, I have done here in this Portugal map. As you can see, the settings, just to realize, I just came to this part of the website and I have created here a website, a tab using a website, and just paste your URL. Remember, needs to be HTTPS, okay? Remember, all in Teams must be secured, okay? I just click save and it's done your web page, okay? For example, I can put here, for example, the link that Army has shown. As you can see, it's faster to have a tab directly to a site, okay? Also, what other examples that can I show you? You can also have Power BI, PowerPoint, SharePoint pages, Visio. For example, if you don't have Visio installed, you can use it online to view it, okay? And also you have several third-party tabs that you work, for example, for some application that it's here, for example, that you can connect, for example, to how to Intercom, to Jira, and so on. It's many applications, or Power Apps, or so on, okay? And for example, how can we create a tab that is easier to do? Here you have in 3 dots the App Studio, okay? Here in App Studio, you can create your application. For example, here you can create apps, cards, and so on. Here you have your manifest editor. For example, I can create here a new tab, a new app. I'm going to create a name. You can generate your version number, the package name, the version, a description, a full description, your information, your website, some partner ID. You can have your own branding, your full color, outline, accent color, and you have advanced to develop. And here we have the tabs part. For example, a Teams tab. to everyone on a team where your app is installed in top of team channel. Then you can add here the tab. For example, the URL for this application, for example, goes to your home page. That's an example of a site. Then you can select the scope. If are available to the team, to the group chat, the meeting are coming soon, to the side panel, details or chat, runs the tab as an app page, full screen experience in SharePoint, or in a web park. You just click save within here, and you can have bots, connectors, messaging extensions, and so on. Then the language, the domains and the permissions, you can have the domains and so on. And here is the manifest of the tab. Then you can test. You can install your application. Okay, I have here some errors. I have here some parts that are not correct. The pattern. Okay, some missing parts again. Select the transport, ascent, it's okay. Not repeated sentence in short description, okay, the full name. It continues to have here some parts to shorten to the full. Okay. I cannot repeat all this. Okay, but that's the idea that you can create to test the tab, and the tab, what will done, you can then install it to within your team, and After that, it will appear here directly in your Teams. For example, I have created here another app just to understand. It's here to test app Teams. That's all created, and you can finish and deploy it. Okay? Questions? Do you have questions? Here you have my contacts. You are free to contact me. Also, if you want to learn a little more about Office 365, I have written a book about Office 365 Essentials. And thank you all for assisting this session.